So what was placement day like for you guys?
That was definitely a heavy time. You know, something that I went into, you think you can like try to prepare yourself or do all of these things. You really can't in that situation. And I came to terms with that months before the day was upon us. And so I just told myself that I will just feel things as they come and just deal with it then, because that's all I can do. And, oh man, it was the most beautiful and most painful day of my life. And I'm very thankful that my son's parents can appreciate and respect how hard that was. And that even though it killed them to see me hurting and see me sad, that they were there, you know, that they were there to be supportive of me. And I'm forever grateful for that.
I think my situation, I kind of consider my placement day a different day than most people. I signed relinquishment paperwork the day I left the hospital, but she had to stay because she needed to gain more weight because she was premature. And they allowed me to go every Friday and feed her before they flew home to their home state. So relinquishment day was really, really hard. It was. But I knew that I was going home, and then 3 days later I was going to be back at the hospital to see her. So my placement day, the day that she was released from the hospital, we set up a mutual place to meet, and I knew that this was my goodbye. I knew that I wouldn't be seeing her again until she was at the age where she could reach out to me. And I can't even explain how I did it. I just walked in and said, "Okay, Haley, you're just gonna do it." And so I walked in, and she handed me our daughter and said, "I'm just gonna leave you in here. Take as much time as you need." And I have no clue how much time passed. It could have been hours. It could have been 10 minutes. I have no idea. But the thing I remember the most, her hands. We had the exact same hands. And I remember just holding her on my lap and just trying to memorize every single little thing about her. Her little sounds, her smell. I told her everything she wanted, or what I wanted for her in life. Just imagine trying to squeeze in everything you want this child to know in such a short time. I was just pouring everything out. I want you to do this. I want this for you. I love you so much. But those hands are what I always go back to every time I think about her. And then I finally decided that I was ready, and I walked out, and I placed my little girl into her new mom's arms. And that moment was so beautiful. And I could see her mom aching for me. I knew how hard it was for her to watch me go through this. But it was what was right. And I walked out of that building, and I went home, and I laid in bed longer than any human being should ever lay in bed. But the void slowly started to fill with other things, and I started to feel like my life was progressing and moving forward. But that moment is definitely something I think every birth mom will never forget. It's imprinted in your mind. And it is definitely, like we said earlier, the happiest sad that you'll ever feel.
Yes.
It was such a beautiful time, I felt like we got to know each other, which obviously he didn't have good verbal skills. But I really feel like there was a soul-to-soul communication. I don't know if it's telepathy or what you want to call it, but it was just a spiritual communication between us to where we just got to know each other. And I was so impressed with him. And I just felt so honored. It's funny because when that test said positive, I was like, this isn't fair. I don't deserve this. All my friends have been sleeping around. I get pregnant by the first guy I kissed, you know what I mean? And And then when the answer came that adoption was right, I didn't feel lucky. I thought, this isn't fair. Like I don't deserve to hurt like that. But here I was, like in heaven with this beautiful, perfect being, and I'm going, this isn't fair. I don't deserve this. This is so much better than fair. I just felt so lucky and honored to have been the vessel that delivered him home. I couldn't believe I got to even be there. I just thought he was just so cool. Almost felt like he was a big brother or something. I mean, I was just like, he's so cool. And just such a strong spirit, and I just felt like he had a mission and a purpose in this life that was important, and that's why miracles got him where he needed to be. And we just spent, again, same thing. I don't know how much time passed, but I was preparing for when the caseworkers weren't going to come, because we didn't do face-to-face placement back in the day, which is my number one regret. And so I know that these men are going to come, and I'm going to say goodbye, and so I'm just holding and preparing for that. And just communicating a lifetime worth of love. Just communicating like the most intense, like most purposeful communication ever. And my mom was sitting there, and there was a lot of silence and just weeping, just steady stream of tears just pouring down my face of every emotion, the height of every emotion all at once. And he was such a good baby, and he was so attentive and intelligent and calm. He had such a sense of peace about him and such a sense of purpose. It felt like he knew exactly what was going on. And as I was staring at him, he was staring back at me, and he reached up and he put his hand right here. And I know that babies don't have fine motor skills, and I know that it was probably nothing, but it was the world to me. And my mom and I are both just like, oh, if she hadn't seen it, I would question it. And it was probably random coincidence, but it means the absolute world to me. And it was like him saying, Tamara, this is okay. I'm going home. It's all right. It's time. And then my caseworker was out of town with another birth mom, and so there was a man from the agency who I had met 9 months previous, and then a stranger. And they came in to exact the transaction. And it was like, this was hallowed ground. This was the most sacred place and time of my life. I feel like if I walked in that hospital room now, I would still feel it. It would still be sacred. The veil between this world and the other world has never been so thin in my life, and the things that I experienced there were otherworldly. And here are these two dudes walking in talking about the weather, and they have no reverence for what's happening here. And then it's signed here, initial here, like you're opening a checking account. No acknowledgement of what's happening, of the eternal consequence of this transaction.
Yes.
And I just thought, I'd always thought, how am I going to sign those papers? But just for long enough to sign, there was an understanding that was open to my mind where I just felt like time got really short. And I felt like I'd seen him and been with him even before he was here. And I felt like I would see him and be with him again really shortly. And so I could send him home, and I could say, I'll see you. And it felt soon, even though in our usual understanding of time, it's not, it's long. But I didn't see it that way. Just for long enough, I had this understanding. And I put him in his cute little outfit that I picked out, and I kissed him and said goodbye. How do you do that? I still don't know. And I was a very theatrical teenager, very dramatic, and so I'd envisioned the scene as it was going to be like the weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, right? That I was going to like prostrate myself on the ground and wail, and so I kind of put that on a little bit. I kind of started to cry, and then it just felt so unnatural. Then all of a sudden I was forcing it. It was forced, and all of a sudden I just sucked it up, and I was like, can I have some tapioca? And it's not that wasn't the most significant event of my life. It's just I'd never felt so right place, right time, right thing ever before. It was nothing but peace, nothing but calm and confidence, and nothing else fit. When I went home, however, it's hard to talk about because I don't know the words, and nothing can prepare you for it.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to hurt. But I didn't have a frame of reference for that kind of hurt because I'd never experienced hurt like that before. So I couldn't have anticipated it. I couldn't have known what to expect. But I went home with a hole in my body and a void in my spirit and empty arms. And there were times when my arms hurt. And there were times when I thought if I could just smell him, and I would close my eyes and try to remember what he smelled like. If I could just smell him one more time, it would alleviate my pain to some degree. If I could kiss him one more time, I wouldn't hurt so much right now. Just one more time, you know? And in Georgia, I actually had 2 weeks to change my mind. That's a hell, you know? Every minute of every day having to remake the hardest decision of your life, knowing you can make your pain go away, but you would inflict it on 2 other people, and that I would be depriving my son. What a terrible place to be in. And it didn't just hurt for days or weeks or months. And sometimes it still hurts. But throughout, there has been a peace. There has been a consistent peace that has sustained me. And this feeling of gratitude that I still can't explain. I'm in the depths of sorrow and feeling grateful. Mm-hmm. You know, I love it. We all go, mm-hmm. Everyone's like, yeah. You know, and that's a hard thing to explain. But somehow it's all been worth it. And even in the thick of it, even in the worst of it, I wouldn't trade a thing.
Yeah. I
wouldn't change a thing. You know, I would do it again.
Yeah.
For the positive consequences that have come from it. But I'm glad I don't have to. Because that was hard. Yeah. And it hurt so much. Definitely. And occasionally it still does. And I don't mind. I accept the whole package.
Yes. I can completely relate to that seemingly never-ending loneliness that's consuming. It's powerful, but it goes away.
Time heals.
Yes,
it does. And like you said, other things begin to fill the void in your life. And it's kind of a special opportunity to be able to build your life from ground zero. Yeah. Because the fact is, this experience did kill me. But there was a lot of dying that needed to be done for me to be born again, so to speak. Yes. We were both born that day. I built a new life on the rubble, you know, of what that life was. Yeah. It did break my heart, but I have a new and better heart, you know, and so...
It's exciting what happens. I was so excited. I had rallied for this day, and it was hard, you know, to plan for this. It's hard to plan a day that you know is going to suck. It's really hard. It's hard to wrap your head around that. And, you know, he was born, and it was so obvious that this was a brand new thing. This little person was brand new. Mm-hmm. He had started breathing an hour ago. He was brand new. Perfection. And to be, he'd never done anything wrong. He was perfect. And it was so neat, such an honor and privilege to be around something like that, to take part in it, and have some teeny tiny claim on that was unbelievably amazing. And I just, you know, I was so excited to be a part of it. I signed papers, and then a day or two later, he went home with them. I left the hospital and he went home with them, and it was, you know, it was business, and then it was vacation. I signed my papers, and then we were on vacation, and then we were moving out. And signing papers, of course it sucks. It's the business end of a remarkable opportunity and journey. And, you know, the day of placement, his family and brothers and sisters came up, and we played games, and it was just like, it was like starting the engine on this car. Like, we were all there. My family, his family, we were all there ready for this life to start. And it was so amazing to be at the beginning of it, to be part of the very beginning, and to see where it was going to go. And like you said, he just seemed like the coolest little person. Like, I wanted to hear his thoughts. Like, I wanted to know what he was thinking. Like, it was just like, I felt so cool being able to have anything to do with him. And it was really neat to have somebody else feel the exact same way. Like, his whole family was like, this is the coolest thing in the entire world. Let's just stare at him. And I was like, I know. Let's just stare at him. But it was heartbreaking. I mean, he was my best friend. He was out with me for 9 months, every minute of the day. You know, he'd kick me, I'd poke him back. We were besties, and it was so neat to see what that little elbow looked like. It made me miserable. And those little shoulders and those little feet, like, it was so amazing to meet this person that I'd had a relationship with, and to hold it, and to listen to the little whimpers that he made when he slept. And it was so amazing to be privy to that, because it was so sacred to me. And then he went home. And that was the hardest thing. But, I mean, I just miss my friend. But it was such a blessing. And And to know that, to have felt that companionship and then that void, just let me think, what amazing things is he going to do for the people in his life? Oh, sorry, but, you know, like, imagine how his mom feels, you know, and what kind of brother he'll be. I don't know, it's just really amazing to be part of. Sorry.
I wished I could have at least been a fly on the wall, you know, when his mom saw him for the first time, you know, because the thing is, when he came to me, I felt like I knew him.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I know she had the same experience. I really feel like she knew him too. And my heart grew inside of my chest the first time I laid my eyes on him, and I know hers did too. And I wish I could have been there to see it. You know, I wish I could have. It's like you spend 9 months working on this present and you make it perfect, you know. I gave up my Dr. Pepper and everything, you know, like I was making every calorie count and, you know, just doing the best job I could at giving him a safe and peaceful home and growing him good, you know. And then I just wished I could have seen their faces for the reveal, you know. And so, but you know, so there's little things I would change, but if it's the way it had to happen, you know, I'm just glad it happened.
Yeah.
And like you said, I love that we can sit here and we can just nod and
We get it.
we get it. You know, I can watch your eyes well up with tears, and I'm not just crying out of sympathy for you. I can feel how you feel, and it's such an empowering feeling to be sitting in a room with people and know that it's not just words. We can all sit here and I can feel what you feel and you can feel what I feel. That's an amazing thing.
Amazing. Another amazing experience I had in the hospital, just when he was born. Like, there were 4 people in the room a minute ago. There are 5 people in here now. Like,
Right?
that's crazy.
Somebody's lungs
That's
just stopped
crazy.
working, started working, like.
That's crazy, you know, and just being able to see, oh man, his mom and his dad just so excited and so instantly in love with him. And, you know, one thing that was hard for me was, oh man, I just wanted them. I was like, he and I, like, we're cool. We know each other. Like,
Yeah.
Take some time. Like, here you go. Meet your son, you know. And as much as I was just needing to see them with him, oh man, my mama heart was like, get away from my baby. But on the outside, I'm like, this is so nice. It was so hard. It was everything I had inside me to not, like, claw her eyes out. Because that was my baby, you know. That was really,
hard
really
mix
hard.
of emotions.
That's a hard role to.
Yeah. What I love is, like, that little friend, I get to go see him. You know, that's the greatest thing about open adoption is that, you know, I miss that little soul, but, you know, his favorite color is blue and he only likes to eat pancakes. And I love that I get to know that, you know, and I get to go sit next to him and he tells me stories and, you know, it's really rewarding through all of it to have the fruits of all the tears, to see his little smile, you know, to hear about his little fits and stuff like that. It completes the circle, you know. It makes, I mean, without it, it would still be an amazing thing, the most amazing thing in my life. But with it, it's just like more than I could have wished for.
And the connection isn't just with the child.
Oh, no.
That's what I found really surprising. Is that I was almost every bit as interested in their lives and as attached to them. And again, it was a close adoption for me, but the agency did facilitate some limited correspondence just in the very beginning without identifying information exchanged, and I lived for those letters and pictures. I lived to hear from them. Oh my goodness. I mean, it was consuming, you know. And that was like, you know, I would get my oxygen tank filled and then it would start to empty and then I would get more and I'd be like, okay. I had a roommate once when some pictures came and I got the pictures and I was like, oh my gosh. And my roommate goes, you okay? And I was like, you've never seen me this okay. What are you look at me.
It doesn't get better than this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is the most okay I ever get, you know? Like, I am overjoyed.